Example 4, yes. For the second one was questions 4 and 8. So this last one is sort of working backwards. They gave us the original graph in red, and then there's the image graph in blue. So they have the graph of f of x. How do I know this is the original graph? Because it says the graphs of f of x and its image. So f of x is the original one, the image is the blue one. Now we're going to solve this in two different ways. The first way is going to be the easy way and the obvious way. Second way is a little bit more complicated, but it's going to help us later on. We'll have to use the second way when the questions get more difficult. So for right now, if you're given the answer and you have to find the equation, we're going to have to work backwards. So we think about what did we do in the previous questions. In the previous questions, we would have written some original points down. So I have 3, 9. Looks like I have 2, negative 8, and 0, 0. Those are 3 points on my original graph. And you would have had arrows, and we found out that they go to 1.5, 4.5, and this one is at 1, negative 4, and this one's still at 0, 0. We would have got these answers last and then graphed it. But now we have to work backwards. So having these points, can you see what happened, what you would write above the arrow? What happened to your x values? Well, 3 went to 1.5. 2 went to 1. 0 stayed at 0. Can you see that your x values have been multiplied by something? They've been multiplied by half. What about your y values? 9 to 4.5, negative 8 to negative 4, 0 stayed the same. Can you see that your y values have also been multiplied by half? So we have a vertical compression and a horizontal compression. We need to write the equation of the blue graph in terms of f. How do we do that? Well, y by a half would be outside the function, and it would be exactly what you would see. So I would have a half outside in front of the function. In front of the function. The x by a half, that would show up inside the function, but there wouldn't be a half inside the function. There would be the reciprocal. You would see a 2 inside of the function. And this is how we can do this easily from this question. Now, the second method that we're going to use later on, and I'll show it to you right now, is you would choose 2 points on the original graph and choose 2 points on the image graph. I'm going to label my points on my original graph. I'm going to choose this point A and this point B. And on my image graph, point A goes here, so I'm going to write A with a little dash mark. In mathematics, we often say A prime, and B prime. And we're going to look with those 2 points at both horizontal distances and vertical distances. So the horizontal distance from A to B, I went 1 unit to the right, which would be 1. The horizontal distance from A prime to B prime, that's on my blue graph. I'm going to color code this for you. On the red graph, from A to B was 1 distance. On the blue graph, from A prime to b prime would be going from 1 to 0.5 is a half. Then looking at this, how do you multiply to go from 1 to 1/2? You would have to multiply x by a half. So it's another way of finding this that we found with the points. In this example, the points is the easiest way to do it. Later on, we're going to have to use this technique. Next, we look at the vertical distances. Again, on our red graph, if you went from A to B, you're starting down here at -8, and you're going up to 9, you would be going up 17. When we go up, we write a positive value. If we would go down, we'd write a negative value. Does that make sense? And then looking at A prime to B prime, count that distance. You're going from -4 up to 4.5. You're going up 8.5. Again, you look at those numbers. How could you go from 7 to 8.5? You would have to multiply y by half. So two different ways to find out what you're multiplying your x and the y by. In this case, probably the first method with the arrow diagrams is the easiest, but we will have to use the second method later, so I'm introducing it to you already now. So questions to circle on this one are 5, 12, 13, and 14.